My name is Tom,
I'm Andrew.
I'm Tristan.
and these are tips and tricks from former AP World History students. For the first tip, it's about the AP World History exam. Make sure to use your time wisely on questions that you're answering. So do not hesitate about your answer, and make sure to pick the first choice. Make sure to flag it is usually on the top right corner on the exam, and then once it's flagged, go through all your questions, and then usually at the end, you see all the flagged questions or the questions they haven't done. And also to sleep the night before and have at least 8 hours.
Another key thing about the exam is that you don't lose any points for not answering. What's it called? Not answering is the same as getting a wrong answer. So if you're running low on time, better to guess, because it's the same result. If you guess and get it wrong, same outcome as if you left it blank. But when you guess, you have the chance, although it's 1 in 4, it's only 25% chance of getting the question right. All right, the next topic we're going to talk about is note-taking and studying. For this, the key is that you want to take a lot of notes throughout the year, but you also want to take good notes of the important stuff. What I mean by that is you should not be rewriting your entire textbook. That's not taking notes. That's just copying and pasting it down. That's not going to help you. You want to jot down the key information. It tends to be found in the textbook in bold, and you want to jot down the key information, dates, people, and you want to understand what each is. If a key person in a chapter has 2 paragraphs about them, you want to know if someone says, what did this person do, what they did, and to be able to explain it very well. You want keynotes about all of that. You want your notes to be efficient as well, though. You don't want to write a whole paragraph of notes about one paragraph. You're just rewriting it at that point. You want a few key points, bullet points work just fine. It could be a few sentences that summarize the main ideas. That's the goal, the main ideas. Miss Gray gives you study guides that you can use for exams, for quizzes, and for the AP exam. I suggest you go through all of them to prepare for the exam, to study. It's a very helpful tool. And Miss Gray also gives you Quizlets. I would suggest using those as well. However, I would say don't be over-reliant on the Quizlets, as they can't cover everything that could be on a quiz or exam. And there have been instances where there are typos in the Quizlets and it leads you to the wrong answers. So make sure you read the textbook, and that's your first priority. Quizlet is a secondary. And I'd just say make sure you study and take notes throughout the year. If you do that throughout the year, then when you get to review time for the AP exam, it's just a refresher. So it's super efficient, way easier to catch up and get maximum points on the exam because you've been studying all year. You know the content. If you don't know the content coming into exam week, well, you can study as much as you want, and maybe you'll do solid on multiple choice. But when it comes to the essays, you won't have any of the content knowledge to actually do well on it. So you want to make sure you have those notes that you can review throughout the year to keep yourself reminded of that. The next point we're talking about is stress management. So again, taking notes throughout the years, that's going to reduce stress. You have an easily accessible resource you can use to study before the exam. You want to use process of elimination on multiple choice questions. This will just help you exponentially. Like when you can eliminate 2 answers out of the 4 on a multiple choice question, if you know nothing else, but you just know that 2 answers are wrong, all of a sudden you go from having a 1 in 4 chance of getting the right answer to a 1 in 2 chance. You go from 25% chance to 50% chance. Those odds are a whole lot better. It just reduces your stress. Another key thing to help with stress management is to really get to memorize and know the rubrics throughout the year. When you know the SAQ rubric, the LEQ rubric, the DBQ rubric, it's way easier when you get to exam day to just jot it down. You have scratch paper, you can just jot down your scratch paper. On exam day, don't overstress it too much. You know whether at that point, you know whether you studied or not. You know how prepared you are or how unprepared you are. You can't change that. You can't cram before the exam and expect to increase your score by a lot. It doesn't work like that. So you want to make sure you prepare throughout the year to reduce that stress. And honestly, the last key thing is get a good night's sleep and eat a good breakfast before the exam. It might seem like a simple, minute thing, but it helps a lot. It takes away some of the nerves. and it just makes sure you're feeling good for the exam. The last thing is, if you're feeling nervous about the exam, that's okay. Feeling nervous is good. It shows that you care about it. If you didn't care about it, you wouldn't feel nervous. You feel nervous because you care about what the outcome will be. And if you care, you should be willing to put in the effort and go get the best scores you can.
Yeah, adding on to that, he's right. Don't study the night before. Make sure you go straight to bed right after you shower, so you get all the information in your mind. You don't want to learn something new, what you already been learning throughout the year. So on to the next one. The fourth one is assignments, right? So even if you don't finish the assignment, make sure to submit it anyways, so you get some points. It's better getting 50% than getting a zero. A zero will hurt your grade badly. Most teachers are not generous with late work submissions, and unless you have a really good excuse, don't submit your work late. Submit on time. Deadlines and due dates are the same. So after the due dates, most teachers won't accept the grades no more. And a tip you should do is start the assignment the day it was assigned. By doing the assignment the day it was given, allows you to be stress-free, and you won't have to worry about turning the assignment in late. It also gives you more time to do any other missing work, so you don't submit it late.
Some advice I'm going to give to Miss Gray's future students and any future students of AP World History: do not rely on the Quizlets, the Kahoots, and the flashcards that Miss Gray will give you. They are good, of course. Miss Gray is very good at making sure you have good resources, but do not rely on them, okay? Don't be like me, where I would just use the Quizlets and the Kahoots like 2 days before an RCQ and expect to do good. Even though I didn't fail the class, of course, it just made things a little bit more difficult. Now, of course, use textbooks, okay? The textbooks are very useful if you actually read them. Once again, guilty as charged, I didn't read them a lot, but they actually are very reliable. And the reading journals, actually do the reading journals. Don't be like me and just skim over them half the time. That will actually get you confused on a lot of stuff. So if you use the textbooks, the reading journals, and the flashcards, Kahoots, and Quizlets, you'll be perfectly fine with everything you need to know, and you'll get a good grade in the class and a good grade on the exam, hopefully. Now, okay, another thing. Look at Miss Gray's emails. If you're ever confused on what you're doing that day, look at her emails. They actually tell you everything you're doing for like the week. And especially if it's something important, she will tell you like a week ahead if you have an LEQ or a DBQ. So she just wants you to be prepared. She's not trying to blindside you. So if you ever feel blindsided, once again, read the emails, which is something I actually did. And I was never blindsided. Once you read the emails, and even if that doesn't help you, if you're that confused, send her a remind message. Miss Gray is like this when it comes to remind messages. She's very fast. She's great at it. Honestly, one of the best teachers I've ever seen use remind. I even once texted her because I was confused on the Super Bowl, and guess what? She texted me back the same day while she was watching the Super Bowl. Okay, so if you can do all that stuff, you will be perfectly fine in her class. Now, once again, don't be on your phone all the time like me. You can, of course, if you have nothing to worry about, you can be on your phone real quick, but don't be on your phone the entire time. Make sure to pay attention, because you have to cover like 9 units. It's going to get a little stressful. If you know how to spread out your work, you will not be as stressed as I was. Don't just do all your work in the span of like 3 days. Okay, you'll get a lot of stress, and you have other classes you have to worry about. I understand. But if you spread it out good enough, you'll have a fun time in the class, and you will be mentally okay with all your classes, and you will have the time of your life. Now, a common thing I've noticed is that students will believe that they'll forget what happens in Unit 1 through like 4. So they'll be more concerned about remembering it, which will lead to them spending more time on it, which is good, and studying it. But also they'll become a little lenient and lackluster when it comes to remembering 5 through like 7, 8. So what I say is, try your best to study every unit equally. But if you have more trouble with some units than others, you can always spend more time on them, of course. But then periodically go back around and see what you can remember from each unit. Try to study past units and then present units. Just try to keep it equal so you don't spend more time on one unit than the other. Now, some common questions I've noticed in Miss Gray's class, or she'll be Miss Gray to you, I call her Miss Clink, is that they'll ask, it'll be open note, for your specifically for us, it was like, well, period 3 be open note, and so I say now she changes it for every period periodically, so it's never guaranteed that your class will have open notes every single time. So you of course try to study and be prepared. Try to remember what you can, keep it all registered in your brain, but always come to class with your materials, with your study units, just in case you guys have a open note test. Another concern is, will it be a LEQ, will it be a DBQ? And of course, she'll tell you if it's an LEQ or a DBQ. She doesn't hit you with surprise LEQs or DBQs like she was like some English teacher trying to give you a surprise exam or a surprise essay. You will guaranteed you'll know if you will be hit with an LEQ or DBQ. Honestly, she'll tell you probably 3 days, a week beforehand that you're going to have an LEQ or a DBQ. So, of course, just be prepared for those, and study, always study. And of course, they'll ask you what will the test be on, and guys, just check her emails. She literally tells you what you'll be doing, what units to study for in the email. She'll be like, it's a 9.1 through 9.3 test, so just know what those are, and she'll also tell you what type of test it is: RCQ, DBQ, LEQ. So it's guaranteed you'll know. Miss Gray is very well organized and very great at keeping her students ahead of the game for what she will be doing, what you need to know in class. So as long as you pay attention, don't be like me and be on my phone all the time, and then it's guaranteed you'll have a great time. Be prepared for everything you need to know. There won't be no shockers. There'll be no shockers in that class. And then even if you don't know, just ask Miss Gray. She'll give you the answers, and you will be perfectly fine. I promise you guys. She'll keep you up in the loop. Okay. Some advice I got for students is, ow, you just bit me.